the Chase Thomas Podcast, for people who have nothing but time to kill.
Had 23 carries against Ole Miss in 21.
Good.
Him and Jalen Wright. Jalen Wright had 23 against Akron in 22. Those are the second most carries any Tennessee players had in the game, and then they're sprinkled through with a couple of 22 and 21s.
Wow. Final thing here, and we'll get out of here. Vols Hoops. We got Ethan here, the Vols Hoops expert, with us here tonight. Ryan Schumpert. As we continue our expectations series here in the off season, we'll save baseball for when Jack gets back. So Cam Carr, expectations this season. Ethan, what's excited about him? Your biggest concern you have about Cam Carr going into this year, and one thing you'd like to see him get better at next season for the Vols.
Be honest with you, I don't really have a concern just because I haven't seen the guy in practice. I mean, my concern would be, I guess, the same thing that I want him to improve upon. He is absolutely not afraid of shooting threes. That much we've learned. I'd like them to go in a little more. He was shooting 27% last year. I think he'll take the jump just because he's proven how not scared he is of shooting it, and how much Barnes has kind of still given him the green light to shoot it, and regardless. And he hit huge ones in huge moments last year, so he has the capability to do it. But yeah, I'd say have you hit a few more of those threes. I'm not asking you to be Dalton Connect in the mid range, but find some sort of something that isn't at the basket or from beyond the 3-point arc to help out one year. He's probably going to be the number 2 guy behind him. That'd be my answer. I'm not really sure about something that worries me about him, except for just doing the inverse of what I just said, which is, still being a 27% 3-point shooter and an offense where I think he's going to be required to make the shots that he's so eager to be taking.
Got to tell you, I'm okay with numbers. I'm okay with science, Ryan Schumpert. There's something to be said about Cam Carr shooting 27% on threes last year, where I'm not saying that they're wrong in that number, but I'm also saying that they're wrong because my eyes told me he shot 40% on threes last season, because I saw every other three that he tossed up went in, and I'll give you 40%. But in terms of his 3-point percentage on shots that Chase saw live, somewhere closer to 40%. The 27% is not real, Ryan. It's not real. He's not a 27% 3-point shooter. I don't believe it. That man from the corner, I'm going to do the Steph Curry from my living room. I'm going to turn around when Cam Carr lights it up from the corner. I already know it's going in, Ryan Schumpert.
I'll give you some numbers real quick before Ryan answers that. February 10th on, which is when he actually kind of started playing, he was 50%, 3 of 6. So
there you go.
Maybe it might just be numbers can do this. They lied to you. He missed a whole bunch against the Gimmies in early when he was.
Don't count. If it didn't happen in 2024, we leave it in 2023. Don't count.
Don't always just read stats, my friends. I guess that's the lesson.
50%
still,
Cam.
My point still stands. I want to see him going. If you're going to shoot him at that high of a clip, don't go down.
Cam Carr, nothing but green lights.
Yeah,
Cam Carr, nothing but green lights. And his confidence is impressive. I mean, you're talking about a guy that came in and hit a big corner 3 in a big moment in a Sweet 16 game when Creighton had a lot of momentum late in the first half. And consistency, which is, going to be sound like a cop-out answer because consistency is the key in college basketball. I just think Cam Carr is so talented offensively that I just don't think right now there's enough consistency from him. I think he's going to be one of those guys that's going to be maddening at times because I think he's going to be a guy that comes off the bench in some games is a spark and scores 18, 20 points for Tennessee, and there's going to be other nights that he's just going to completely disappear. Where I'd say I'd want to see him get better is defensively. There's no reason this guy can't be an elite wing defender with his athleticism and his wingspan. I think he can be absolutely dominant. Obviously not quite the same, kind of Julian Phillips impact. What Julian Phillips did defensively, there's no reason Cam Carr can't do that. I don't think he's there right now, but that's the area where I want to see him improve because that's what will get him 20 minutes plus playing time a night is if he can do that. And then you have more room to figure out offensively and the consistency can, it's a little bit more manageable if you can. It's not like, oh, he's going to come in. Let's see if he can get into a rhythm offensively. If he's not, well, it's not like he can help us a ton tonight. Then you can kind of play through some mistakes and get into a little bit more of a rhythm throughout the game.
I think he's the ultimate wild card. you could tell me Cam Carr breaks out as a star this year for Tennessee, and you just can't keep him out of the starting lineup because he's just too good and matters too much offensively. You could also tell me that Meshack and Lanier and Gainey and Dubar keep him off the floor, where it's just his minutes are kind of limited. I don't know. Like, Cam Carr is the ultimate wild card to me, where if you get something great, but it's a great spot for Tennessee to be in, where they don't need Cam Carr to break out into a star role. But man, that would be nice, because if Cam Carr really makes the leap this year, it's a good problem to have, because you have this high octane shooter who is compared to Antonio Reeves and Chaz Lanier. Sakai's back for his final run. You have so many transfers that you're relying on. If you can have an in-house guy, Ethan, that makes the leap, I think that just makes Tennessee a more complete team. I think it helps Tennessee a lot more if Cam Carr ends up not only carving out a role in a rotation, because I think he's going to be in the rotation. It's just he makes a leap where you're like, oh, this is just another offensive weapon that can do a lot, create his own shot, that just makes Tennessee that much more dangerous come March.
Do you remember that year that Yves Pons was an absolute liability on offense, and then he shot a three like one of the first games, and we're just like, he can do that. That's the kind of reaction I want to have with Cam Carr.
You were here on the pod, Ethan, where we talk about it needs to be a thing. Like Jonas Adu, his first game, obviously in Thompson Bowling, he's gonna pull up from 30 feet. He's gonna hit a 40-footer or something.
Yeah.
And you're just like Drew Pember, obviously going to Asheville. Like, it just needs to be a running bit where all the Vols bigs, when they move on, they just immediately start showing, actually, I'm Steph Curry with the shot, and I think it's a great bit.
I think it needs to become a bit where Chase Thomas mentions Drew Pember every single podcast, because I think he's hit about 4 in a row where he's mentioned.
He can
Drew
do
Pember. I would respect the heck out of that bit.
Do you know how much I miss Drew Pember's UNC Asheville games? Do you know, like, the dude was lighting it up. They're doing 5-out basketball, and he's just out here jacking up threes, and it's just great. Like, it was just I like the 5-out basketball. Is really more than anything. So it's a nice. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Barnes style and everything, but I do enjoy some high octane 3-point shooting, space the floor, and UNC Asheville is just a fun team. And this is a bit, but also true. Like, hey,
it was fun to watch.
Like, I just want Tennessee bigs who get bogged down by the rotation to transfer to UNC Asheville every year, so that we get at least one former Tennessee player to light it up for the Bulldogs. So when I go to Asheville with my wife multiple times a year for our getaways, I can just pop in and be like, all right, which former Vol is about to drop 50 here in what conference are they in?
The Big South, I think.
Big South?
Yeah,
okay.
I think you're right. Yeah. It's Big South.
So it's not just a Pember thing. I just want that to be the rotation. I just like Tobe would have been amazing. Tobe ended up at UNC Asheville, and Tobe just unleashes some high quality shooting. That would be the all time surprise.
Tobe becomes a
Tobe rebounding in the Big South.
Yes.
He'd break records.
Oh man. Maybe, hey, who knows? Maybe he can still wind up there when it's all said and done. I'll hold out hope. Tobe Awaka.
It'll be, I mean, this is actually an interesting question. I don't want to get into it too long, but I was going to joke that it'll be Cade Phillips, but like, yeah, what does he do this year? Like, I'm interested in Cade Phillips. What is he going to be, if anything?
Well, that's we'll get into that. Well, I'll add Cade Phillips on next week. We'll add Cade.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I think they were teammates, weren't they? Weren't Cam and Cade teammates in high school?
Yep. At Link Academy in Missouri.
Yeah.
So there you go. We'll see. Cade's another one in-house, but I don't know. Cade just strikes me as someone that I think Cade's going to carve out a rotation spot as time goes on.
Yep.
I feel like I agree.
Ryan Schumpert, Ethan Stone, thank you.
Nicely done, nephew. The Chase Thomas podcast. Hell yeah.